This channel is proudly sponsored by EraScapes. Check out the Patreon for audio dramas, free previews, and exclusive tiers featuring music, content creation, and all things related to professional creativity. If you like the settings in the Era tabletop RPG, you are going to love EraScapes. Please check out the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring Dames of Asstoria, the core rulebook. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop RPG where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about combat nuances, starting with dodge chance. This is your innate passive ability to dodge incoming attacks. Your base dodge chance is equal to 10 plus coordination plus perception, and is affected by things like the type of armor you are wearing, actively dodging, as well as certain spells or effects. Attacks where the rolls after modifiers are equal to or less than a target's dodge chance or DC are considered a miss. Armor is the most important thing to remember when going into combat, as armor gives the bonus stats of damage threshold or DT, which is how much damage your armor negates. Damage threshold is a subtractive stat, meaning that the total amount of damage threshold you have is subtracted from your incoming damage. That is, if you are taking 10 damage and have 3 damage threshold, you now only take 7 damage. Armor also affects a character's DC based on its tier. Characters with their health at 0 or lower have entered Bleed Out, and are considered unconscious and dying. A character in Bleed Out will die in a number of turns equal to the character's body, unless they receive medical aid that brings their hit points back to above 0. Characters revived after having their health dropped past 0 will have their effective body reduced by the number of turns they were unconscious, should their hit points fall below 0 again. This effect can be reversed with more intensive medical treatment and/or rest. Characters who have their health reduced past -20 or are reduced to chunky salsa from a killing critical by an explosive weapon are simply dead and cannot be saved. Some effects and abilities deal damage over time, or DOT, such as bleeding, burning, poison, etc. These effects deal an amount of damage on a recurring basis. Each DOT effect will specify in which increments the target receives damage. While under a DOT effect, targets have their healing rate reduced to 0 until the DOT effect is cured. When substantially hurt, characters receive wounds. These are lasting injuries that are not healed through a character's healing rate. Characters can receive wounds in various ways, such as being dropped down to 0 hit points or less, falling 10 feet or more and receiving 25% or more of your maximum HP in falling damage, perhaps receiving a cold shot to a limb, which has a 10% chance of imparting a limb-specific wound. Characters can receive multiple wounds, which will stack, though they cannot gain the same wound twice, with the exception of limb-specific wounds on multiple limbs and wounds with multiple ranks. Wounds can only be healed by a doctor with high healing potions or elixirs of life. Wounds received are always random. When cold shots to a limb impart a wound, then only wounds viable to that limb are able to be imparted. Resurrection will save you from death, but you will keep the wounds until they are healed. When a character receives a wound, roll 1d100 and the wound received is the one which the roll lands on. If a character receives the same wound and already has the maximum amount of ranks for that wound, to the maximum amount of limbs, or does not have the body part in question, then you shall reroll on the wound chart. Some wounds impart a crippled status. Crippling makes the affected limb unusable in any capacity. If a character receives 3 non-crippling wounds on a limb, it is considered crippled. If a character receives 5 wounds on a limb, it is considered severed, with the exception of the torso, which cannot be severed. Severing the head results in instant death. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about various things such as the to-hit modifiers, opposed rolls, and item conditions. When it comes to taking damage in this tabletop RPG, it is quite surprising because You would think that the demi-fauna, with all of their monstrous parts, would be almost unstoppable, perhaps much tougher than the average tabletop RPG protagonist. But I actually like it that they are somewhat fragile as well. After all, many powerful individuals in Sword and Sorcery, for example, Conan the Barbarian, Elric from the Elric saga, they are quite extraordinary individuals, and in some aspects they may actually seem monstrous, but they can still be killed by a knife in the dark, or knocked out by a rock to the back of the head. So I think in Dames of Asstoria that is perfectly represented. Powerful characters, but they are not invincible, so better be careful. Thank you for watching this part of the review. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel through PayPal or DriveThruRPG, the information will be in the pinned comment and in the description. This has been Abraham El Jaguar, a professional game master. If you want me to run a game for you, please check out the pinned comment as well. And remember, in tabletop RPGs it's not about what you want your characters to do, it's about what your characters are doing. Once again, thank you and see you later.